Okay, we will stand for the pledge of allegiance for the 2025 council meeting. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
New year to everybody. I think it's probably the right thing to do, go around. We've got new members, welcome, and congratulations on your election. Just to let the public know who everybody is that's seated, so I'll start. Matt Yukevich, Councilman Jeff 1, Jeff 2.
Carrie Barwick, County Council at Large.
John Grant, County Council at Large.
Lance Collier, County Council Pleasant, and Craig.
Kim Hutcherson Jackson, County Council at Large.
Todd Chase, District 4, which is Scott.
Mike Bear, Jeff 3, Posey, 1, and what was your
Cotton, sorry. Cotton. Sorry, Cotton. Okay,
No District 4.
so we have some old business to take care of prior to the formation of council. First is the special meeting that was held. I know we got into discussion, Pat and I had some discussions about it. On special meeting notes, it is required that the special meeting notes are done before the next regular session meeting. That's the rule. That's the IC code. In this case, we had a problem with a computer problem. So that's why we're approving this, but my understanding is the commissioners, because it was a joint meeting, they've already approved.
They approved it at their December meeting,
Okay.
their last December meeting.
And this would be signed by the former old council. Oh, I'm sorry. We need to vote to approve this, so. Looking for a motion
This is
to
for the
approve
third.
the special meeting
Yes.
notes, yes.
special meeting? I'll make a motion to approve that as a special.
Mike. Mike, Bear makes a motion to approve and Lance seconds. All in favor? Next is the regular meeting, last of December 11th. Has everybody had a chance to look at those? Those are the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I will look for a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, received a motion to approve by Todd. Second. Mike there, second. Motion. All in favor? Okay, formation of council. Interesting enough, we've not always done this correctly. So let me read you how this works. Nomination of president and vice president. The clerk, which is Gail, at the first regular meeting holds the vote. Nominations are accepted per her asking for nominations. Nominees are required to accept or withdraw their nominations. So if you are nominated, you do have the right to accept or withdraw your nomination. If more than one council member is nominated, the nominee or nominator may speak of the nominee's qualifications for the position. The vote will be in the order of the first person nominated. If a majority vote is obtained on the first vote, the election is completed. A majority vote is required for the election of both the president and the vice president. It should be repeated for the vice president. Any questions on it? So I will turn this over to you, Gail.
Okay, I'm going to call for a nomination of President, County Council.
I'll nominate Lance Collier.
You don't have to have some.
Right, I'm just writing down here.
I'd like to nominate Kim Jensen.
How do I decline it?
You could say I decline.
I decline, not for the first year. Next year.
So we just have one nomination?
You don't have to.
I don't even have to take a vote. Congratulations, Lance, 2025.
Want to take a vote? I feel like we gotta take a vote.
We can. I mean, but you don't
I
have
thought
to.
it said majority on what he was reading.
Oh, that's right, Vincent. Okay, all in favor, go ahead.
Everyone that, take a vote on Lance Collier for president of 2025 county council. Motion carries.
Thank you for the nomination, Matt.
You want to do the same for vice president then?
Do I have to do the vice? Since
Yeah,
he's-
do the vice.
Okay, I'm gonna ask for a nomination of the vice president.
I'll turn that down, but I would nominate Kim. I think that'd be a good role if you're gonna try to do it next year. You can follow the lead.
Yeah, really nice.
The best I can.
Yeah.
Matt turns his down and Matt nominates Jim. Any other
Thank
nominations?
you. Thank
Take a vote. Kim Jansen for the vice president 2025. You can vote for yourself, she don't want to. Yeah. All right. All right, hand it over to the vice president.
you. Okay, now gonna stay there or you wanna,
Step B, where he-
where
Sorry,
you
we've already
wanna,
got-
how do you see the?
Yeah, this is fine.
I mean, we can change it next meeting, how it flows, since we've already got the meeting signed, or the minutes signed rather,
This is,
instead of shuffling.
this is fine.
Thanks for getting that cover procedure. on that, too. Shut up, shut up.
We're gonna make you a little cheaper.
No, he is.
Okay, next on the agenda under new business is Judge Coy. Says some questions on salary.
Yeah, thank you all for your time. I had a question. We got our approved budgets a couple weeks ago. And when the office holders submit the budget, they put in what they need for various items, including salaries. And we had met with the commissioners regarding salaries, and salaries were approved and the like. We got our approved budget and has a salary on there. We also got the salary ordinance, which has salaries on it. But out on the right side of the salary ordinance, there's a column which seems to break down the salaries in 40-hour increments. Which is not in keeping with, I think, how the law is supposed to work. My office is a 36-hour office. I think most people are. Some people can have 40, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands the way this would work for me and anybody else that does it this way. There's a couple of forms that are approved by the State Board of Accounts. There's a form that my staff, the two that have to keep their time, fill out. I review it, sign off on it, and then we do a payroll claim form that we give to the auditor, and that gets signed off on approved by the commissioners.
I sign off on it and then they sign the claim.
They approve the claim, yeah.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure we all understood that when you approve the salary ordinance, you're not approving it based on a certain number of hours that have to be worked in order for that to be paid in full. Do you agree on that? You understand what my issue is here? You don't legally have the ability to set the hours of the offices. Only the office holders have that ability. Once you approve, you're the fiscal body. Once you approve a salary, it's up to the elected official to decide how many hours their staff have to work to earn that salary. That is the bottom line.
I think that was agreed upon when we had our first special meeting for budgeting. First budget. I believe that was
Okay,
the case because that was brought up,
okay,
as far
We
as,
read the text of it.
yeah, because we knew that not all offices at that time was working the 40 hours and it was up to the department heads, I believe, right?
I was at that meeting. I
Maybe.
think that this was discussed.
It could be in the notes, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I believe it was under the understanding that.
so what I'm saying sounds correct to everybody? Okay, yeah, and that would mean there wouldn't be, because I think some of the people had concern, a couple of them in my office had concerns about, well, does that mean when we turn in our payroll claim, if our forms that we keep in the office, we don't share with anybody, the State Board of Accounts can look at those, but it's only going to say 36, but they still are entitled to the full amount of salary that's approved on the budget.
The salary ordinance is based off of, the hourly rate is based off a 40-hour rate.
Right, but they don't have to work
You're
40
able to work, you're right, you're able to work your 36 hours. And I know know there's discussion still going on over the commissioners, which has nothing to do with us as to the hours in the courthouse that are taking up that issue. But I would agree with you, based off what you put in.
Okay.
Because overtime starts on the 41st hour.
Okay, good. Then we're all in agreement. Well, that went smoothly then. I was,
That's good.
Yeah.
go IU. I mean, you know, if you don't have any other business, let's just all go to a bar and watch the game, you know? Thank you all for your time. I do appreciate everything. For the new folks, I do very much appreciate what the council does for the court. So thank you all.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you,
So-
Judge.
On that, can I kind of be on his code, so to speak? I got a email today from Claudia, which is the nurse managed clinic. And she, on the salary ordinance, it goes back to this hourly rate that was put on there. And they only work 36 hours, so she feels like their hourly rate needs to be adjusted to affect that. What was calculated was on 40 hours. That's what I put in, because that's what I was told. But she feels like theirs needs to be adjusted to just 36.
Well, but you still got the full amount.
They're going to receive their full amount, whatever their
Whatever their salary.
their 2 weeks, their 2 weeks pay is. But a lot of the hourly rate, I mean, it was, as Judge Coy had said, it was misguided a little bit because we didn't know how, what for sure. And then I know that there was an issue with the dispatchers and the jailers and the sheriff's deputies. They wanted those on there as well. But she asked that that be changed to reflect that they only are working 36. And if I do that, I would have to
Yeah,
have a,
I think if you try to do that,
You see
your
what I'm saying?
spreadsheet would be very large and cumbersome. I think you'd have
Oh, I
every single
know.
department, the ones that are doing different hours. I think I'm okay with the 40 because that's what the commissioners requested in the handbook. So you got the full amount on there.
right.
But if we're doing 40, that's the rate. But if a department is not doing 40, it won't be that rate.
Right.
It'll still be that full amount.
It'll still
Be
be
that
whatever
hourly.
her, That
Because otherwise
hourly-
you'd have a bunch of columns.
okay, she asked that it get changed and I told her I would look into it and I'll see what it's.
So it's the hourly rate times however many hours they do work.
But they're gonna get paid, if they have an hourly rate of 19.98 and their 2 week pay is 15.98.46, that's if they work 40 hours. But I wanna make it clear that if they only work 36 hours, they're still gonna get the 15.98.46. Yes,
No, you get the hours that you work.
That's what I
Exactly what
thought.
Kim said. It's the hours you work.
see that?
Oh, no, wait a minute, that is not
That's
what we
we're
said.
saying. That's-
You don't get to set the hours. That's not what
We
we
set
said.
we set the hourly rate. You set the hours. We set.
They
the
get
hours.
whatever the full amount you appropriated is biweekly. They do not have to work 40 hours to get it if the office holder sets their hours at 36.
Why would you do that?
Well, because you don't think you have to follow the law, but you do.
Okay, well, I'm not here to argue that point. I think. we
That's
need
good, 'cause you're not a lawyer.
clarification. You're right. I think we should ask our lawyer that question and hold off on this until lawyers.
Okay, so,
If it needs to be changed, then we can change it for the next payroll period.
so just to be clear, if you all are really into this, you want to look at 36-2-5-11C. If you try to set hourly rates for people, you no longer get to dictate how many people they have in their office. You have to set a lump sum amount for them to hire staff. And if they want 5, they can have 5. If they want 1, they can have 1. Once you set hourlies, you lose the right that you have an earlier part of that statute and another statute to say approve salaries for a certain number of people. Okay? There's a big difference here.
Oh, yeah, that's why I'm talking about the full amount there is what we budgeted.
Right, that's what is budgeted, whether or not they
40-hour rate, to me, the commissioners wanted this building open 40 hours. So it seems like a logical thing to have that on there. If a department head does work 40 hours, that would be what it is. But if they don't, it's gonna be a different rate. That's what I'm saying. If you put different columns in there, it'd be very
Right.
cumbersome. You'd have different rates.
They,
Depending on
but
what.
under the law, if you
New elected
appropriated,
official comes in and changes it, they wanna go from 36 to 40. Then you're.
I apologize for interrupting you, but yeah, if you appropriated 40,000 and the office holder says you got to work 36 for that, your hourly rate is 1. But if the office holder says you got to work 40, your hourly rate is lower, but the office holder determines, the elected official determines the hours, not you all. And you can't do an end around on it. See, we approve the salary, but only if you work 40 hours. You don't get to do that. That violates the law and violates your lawsuit you're in that you're going to hear more about as you go along, but you can't do that. That's completely illegal.
I don't think you're trying to change the law or anything, but I would suggest that I asked for Pat to be here tonight. Unfortunately, he had a medical emergency in his family. So I would just let Pat review it and we'll come back to it at the next meeting.
I mean,
I mean, you go back to the commissioners having the courthouse open 40 hours and that they so chose to do that, but that doesn't mean that we have to have our office open 40 hours.
the department
Now,
heads
you
can
can
change.
So, I mean-
stagger your hours in your
Right.
office.
We can stagger, we can.
Or not.
Or not. I mean, it's completely up to us.
Yeah, I do know about that.
We, to me,
That's what I'm just,
we approved and appropriated the full amount of money.
Right.
That's what the state looks at us for.
That's it.
If it's a $40,000 position, it's the 40.
Right.
That's what we,
but if they're only gonna get paid for 72 hours instead of 80 hours, then that appropriation is gonna be.
I mean, in the end, to me, the department head was they're the ones that end up setting the rates because they can change their office hours
Right.
as they see fit.
Right.
Which
When we-
makes it difficult on you. I mean, you're trying to do a
I mean-
spreadsheet where it's written on there, but they have the power to change it as they see, in my opinion. That's what-
So
We
you're
submitted our
saying-
budget and had salary, but there were no meetings about it. So if you'd have said to me, we need to know what the rate is going to be if it were a 40-hour work week, I would have said, well, I'm open 36. Here's what the rate's going to be for that. And it would equate out to this for 40 hours. I'd have been happy to do that, but you didn't have any meetings with us about that.
Right.
So you appropriated that amount for my office for those two people. And I'm going to pay them that. And they're going to work 72 hours for the full amount every 2 weeks. And I think anybody else that does it that way, because you don't have to specify hours on your payroll claim sheet necessarily. It's on there, but you don't have to. You just have to certify that they worked the requisite number of hours to be paid the full amount. That's all the State Board of Accounts requires. Yeah, they're considered salary. In the statute, it's going to refer to it as compensation, but it means salary. Now, an office holder can deem it to be hourly if they want. They could come and say, my staff is going to work this many hours for so much per hour. But in my office, it's salary. Yeah. And I think it's that way in almost all of it.
That's how it is at Nurse Management Clinic. They can work 36, they can work 40, 44, they're gonna get X amount of dollars. Because the state, money comes from the state.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
That
That's how they.
that makes sense. Yeah, those two are set. And I have 3 in my office that are not, they don't fill out time sheets because they're 24/7 like me. So, anyway, well, if you want to meet about this again, that's fine. I'm happy to come back. But until I hear otherwise, I'm going to do it that way. And I imagine anybody else
Yeah, I
did
mean, we had payroll that's due,
Friday, right?
yes.
So that's the way it's going to be. I'm going to turn in for the full amount for those 2 weeks. And if the lawyer wants to discuss it, and if we disagree on it, it doesn't end here. I mean, we can do more litigating if we need to. I think you wouldn't want to pay out legal fees. That's just me.
I mean, the salary was approved for what it was, whether or not
Right.
the department heads were 36 or 40. I mean, that's side of the point of the approved salary.
I mean,
That was the budget.
to me, the lawsuit settlement made it very clear of who's in charge of that department and the other way, I just don't see how you would do it any other way. I mean, you'd be changing salary ordinance every single meeting every time somebody else wanted to change hours in their office.
So you're okay with, if they only work 72 hours, then they get the full
It's
15?
the department head's decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
We appropriated that full amount of money for that position.
Not to be that guy, but you should always call them elected officials. There's a department head in the law and an elected official in law. There really is. I mean, it sounds silly,
Oh,
but
no, I believe you.
yeah, I mean, I know it sounds like, why is he being that guy? But it's true. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
distinction.
Yeah, we have both. And
Yeah, department heads
Sure.
are appointed,
Right.
so. Okay,
Okay, thanks, Judge.
thank you all very much.
Can I follow-up question on that? Do the timesheets need to reflect hours now under that salary ordinance?
As far as the vouchers that are submitted to me, some put them in there and some don't.
That's really not a question.
State Board of Accounts,
It's not.
yeah, I mean, it's nothing that the council really has any control over.
Okay, it was just brought up here, so I. didn't
Yeah,
know.
that's, they don't even look at the time sheets or the vouchers or anything, but like Judge Coy said, his employees submit one and then they submit another one to me. So,
Yeah, we didn't hire on an hourly basis, we hired on a salary.
Sure.
For the annual, so that's-
and there again, I mean, you guys are mostly state funded anyway. Through your grants and what have you.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is council board appointments.
So-
These-
Sorry, Matt had asked me to get these together and I was going through the laptop of HR and I could not find a specific one. So I took down the board and I just got these. So I just thought we'd go through them and then and let you guys know. Is that okay? Or
Yeah, I've got, I mean, there's five, right? Number nine.
I have seven, actually.
Okay, why don't you do it again?
I have the Fire Chiefs Association. So that's the first one that I have. I have Economic Redevelopment Commission. The PAC Committee, the Southeastern Indiana Regional Planning Commission. The EMA. Southeastern Indiana Recycling District. And the school government. Yes, sorry. I got it.
What was the second one you had after
Um,
the fire chief?
Economic Redevelopment Commission.
Who's been on that one?
Eric Swank was on there. Don't know if that was council appointed or if he was on
He
there.
was on there and Eric had,
Eric was on fire sauce.
Yeah, so I don't know
I
if
didn't know
that
that
one
we-
was like council related or if they council appointed him before he became a member of
I
it.
think it was.
I don't think that's, should be one for.
You don't think it is?
I don't
Okay,
think so.
that's fine.
Do you agree with that?
Okay, so,
I think that's a separate, no.
okay, I wasn't 100%, so,
From the public, that's public.
right, but he applied for that prior to. So the first one would be the Fire Chiefs Association,
Okay.
Corporation.
Fire chief, so this is the one that Eric Swank was on most recently.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just do kind of like we did with the board officers. I guess I was opening up for nominations. We'll do it that way.
Okay, that's fine.
Easy, so,
I'd like to nominate Scott Crandall.
okay.
I second the nomination.
Fire chief.
Scott, you accept? Okay. All those in favor of Scott sitting on the fire chief association, raise your hand. All right. You can go down your list if you want.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. So the next one is the Personnel Advisory Committee. Matt was currently on this one, that's like the PAC.
Right.
Do you want to stay on it?
Uh,
The only issue you have going right now is the county has been, believe it or not, we have another motion filed for $100,000 charge to the county to pay the attorney fees of the litigants against us. We are, so, that can clear up this, but if that comes to be, it will be our intent to, with the commissioners, really their intent to file for all charges from the county back to the litigants.
I thought that's, I thought it was around 60,000.
Well, just, I talked to, I had conversations with still.
God, I made my statements last year about this. I'm not a big fan of this committee. Its intentions, I think, were good maybe in the beginning, but it's just gone sideways and been a lot of problems, and I'm not a fan of it. But it is a committee. I'll open nominations for anybody that wants to nominate somebody for that committee.
I'll nominate Vance.
Thank you.
Get that right.
Matt, do you accept that?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other nominations? Close nominations. All those in favor of Matt being on the,
Do we need to change it? Okay. You had to say,
oh, we had a second on the first.
Carrie did a second for,
I don't think,
I don't care.
I don't think all nominations on these.
Okay.
Um,
It doesn't matter.
All those in favor of Matt sitting on the Personnel Advisory Committee, raise your hand.
So the next one is the Southeastern Indiana Regional Planning Commission. With CERC.
Who did that one?
Todd.
Doc, you still want to be in
Sure.
there? I nominate Todd.
I'll second.
Any other nominations? Those nominations, all those in favor of Todd sitting on the SERPC, is that right?
SIRC. CERC.
Raise your hand.
And the next one is the EMA, the Emergency Management Association. Lisa was the last one that, I don't know if that was correct or not, but she was.
You're
No,
on
Lisa
it,
did
right?
that. Lisa wasn't on it.
It has it all.
I'll read your his minutes here.
You still want to stay on, Mike?
I'm gonna decline because February will be my last meeting. The sale of my home. And I will resign from being on the district.
So can we appoint Mike and then whoever takes his place? I think we could do that.
Can I do that?
Yeah, we can. I mean, I'd want them to agree to sit on it, whoever the next person is, so then they have to revisit it later, but for now.
Yeah, just leave me on.
Okay.
Tom has a meeting in February and I'll have it. That's it.
Okay. Any other nominations other than Mike? Close nominations, all those in favor of Mike sitting on the EMA board?
Okay, the next one is the Southeastern Indiana Recycling District. Lance is on there currently.
I've been on that one for several years. It's a really good committee. It's well ran, meet quarterly. I'd actually like to switch over to the school and kind of myself. Somebody else would like to sit on that. They meet for sales, like I said, quarterly. It's ran well because it's ran by some Switzerland County people.
Mike, is your wife on the court, on the board?
Not on the school calendar. Any nominations for the recycling district?
How often the meeting?
Quarterly.
There's a specific day.
Yeah, they've already got dates for it.
Yeah, I have it here in my.
The next meeting's February 19th, maybe. Usually, it's always on a Wednesday. It's usually
Yeah.
like the third.
Yeah, February 19th,
6
May
o'clock.
21st, August 20th, and November 19th. Whoever's gonna be on
Who's
here.
left?
Mary and
And I,
Do you want,
what, the only other one is the school endowment, right?
mhm.
I mean, I guess I could do the recycle one. That's one you've been on.
Mhm.
second him?
You'll give me those meeting dates.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll email it to you.
Okay.
Okay, any other nominations? Close nominations, all in favor of Kim on the recycling district board? Raise your hand.
That's one is the school endowment.
I'll nominate Lance for sure.
Well, I'd like to nominate Carrie for that. Been a teacher, I think it's a good thing, and Lance, I think you're gonna have a lot more than what you know about being the president this year.
Any other nominations? All right, close nominations. Kim, why don't you call for a vote on this? It's on the nominee. Do an order of nominations, I guess.
All those in favor of Lance? All those in favor of Carrie?
Okay. You don't get the board.
Lance.
So that's all six?
Yep.
Where's the no, we're good there? Okay.
Yeah, and if whoever comes in doesn't want to do EMA, right? I just always,
I'll roll in for you, Nate.
It's a good one. He does it, once a quarter now.
If that's okay.
Around 5:30.
because I was just thinking I'd trade him for recycle or for economic development. If Eric,
Leave it as this right now, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's leave it there and then we'll deal with it when it gets here.
sad life.
Okay, next on the agenda is a review of the State Board of Accounts audit.
Okay, so now this goes to the president. There's a summary report. I was selected to sit with the SBOA for the summary. We all were invited. So there is a summary report, just to make sure we're all on the same page here. The State Board of Accounts was only supposed to be in the county for a month. They extended for an additional 30 days, which we have not, as of this afternoon, received their charges. The basis of them staying longer was solely tied to internal controls for the county, lack of oversight, lack of written procedures, and lack of understanding. There were 6 repeat offenses throughout the county. Those departments that were held in repeat offenses were notified and were subjected to qualifying whether or not they had put in a procedure since the audit started. When it comes to council, we were listed for 3. We were able to discuss 2 of them and get them removed from the audit at the summary meeting. Those 2 being internal control standards and budget process. The one that they did list council under was for the compliance of the casino revenue funding. There's a separate report that I've passed out for that. But the summary has to be read. And one thing that they noted in the past, past councils have not, through the minutes, ever reported this to the public in a public meeting. It was not documented. I think the best thing, because it's an 84-page report, is to take the 2 attachments that the state sent everybody. Question, did everybody read these?
I didn't know that,
You haven't sent to them?
because I didn't, I know.
It was a review of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that went through, because it's still in my drafts for some reason.
There's a 27-page report and then the 84.
Right.
So they're kind of, they're going to work together, right?
Right. They have to be shared with the public. The best place to put those is the government site, the county government site. They should go, they can go, if anybody from public wants to go out and read it, they can.
Yeah.
My concern is everybody was supposed to read
Yeah.
this read.
Sorry, I didn't realize it went into my drafts with you guys.
So we're expecting another report
The
from
84 page,
No.
what?
the 84 page.
No, but you have 10,
Well, we've got,
you've got it, but it was supposed to be read by a new council prior to this week, so that everybody, what we just said was that everybody received it.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah, I saw 27 and the 84-page reports. I was asking if there was another one coming.
No.
So that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
But like he was saying, we have to respond.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have there has to be discussion on it. If we haven't read it, then we can't have discussion on it. So
When's the date? Is there a
we're supposed to do 10 days after.
due date for the response?
Not that I seen what I read.
No, we don't have a response. Council does not have a response. But all the departments, and the subject is the oversights that are in there that the
Doesn't-
council's held accountable for.
The council doesn't have to respond for what they were.
No, but they should read the report and understand what, because the report identifies where all the issues were.
The council wasn't listed specifically in the report. I mean, each one of these sections, there's auditor, there's clerk, there's commissioners, there's treasurer. There wasn't anything for council.
There is.
I mean, the preliminary email had something in it, but
So how about,
Give me,
let me think here for a second.
I mean, pass what you have, or you pass it right?
We do, I'll call the state board of accounts and tell them what has happened tomorrow. But I think to move this forward, we should read the summary report, read our council report as to what their findings were that were handed out at the council, and remind everybody of the ordinance that was put in place, and I'll explain all that, and let them know that we will have read, we need to just take it care of.
What you have right here that was handed out specifically to you that day?
Yep.
Do you have copies of that for
Yep.
them now?
Yep.
Because I don't know that lists it specifically in what. Like what needs to
The what?
say.
Yeah.
It's listed specifically in the 84 or the 27 page.
Yeah,
I think what you
this
got.
is just a very high overview of, the summary is what needs to be read, so we can do that. So I'll let you pass this on.
this is 21.
2021, 22, and 23.
Okay.
Lance, you can read it, or you can point it back to me for being past council that attended this, your choice.
So this is out of the 84 page
That is the summary.
summary.
This is at a this is at the highest level. The 84 goes in, the pages that you haven't read, folks, that really dives into what they found, why they had to stay here longer, what we as a county are not doing.
So they're requesting, the state board council requests that we read their summary.
The summary is supposed to be read.
Have discussion about.
Yeah, but the discussion is more on the other page, other reports. And then we have to read ours as council, what we were in for.
That, I didn't see
That's what
us.
he's saying. He
That's
didn't
why
see.
this. So let me explain this. This is on the entire county, the one you just handed.
Mhm.
The next one is our councils where we failed.
The 3 and 2.
And then what we were able to step away from council was we got hit for not following internal controls. We got hit for not following oversights as a council. And specific to the oversight and internal controls, the budget process has not been followed correctly. But we were able to assure them at the summary meeting that we had notified we had fixed that. We had read the IC codes. We understand the budget process to the commissioners and the commissioners back to us. So they did not list that one. The other one was budget. Then it was the casino revenue funding, which is the one that they hit us with, but we assured them and gave them the meetings from the special meeting that was held, that all government officials, with the understanding of our lawyer and the state board of account notification from the lawyer, that if you gave them the meeting date of the statement of the special meeting, they were fine with that, but they still cited us on the non-government because it was our second offense of this. So, we were filed against in 2014, an MOU was created. But the problem with the MOU was it has to be done every year. You have to have financial meetings every quarter. It has to be tracked with receipts and it comes from the commissioners.
So there was a history in 2014 of
Yep.
the MOU giving us power to distribute that.
No,
No,
Like a contract.
but but in that contract, they are questioning three specific entities that they said do not qualify because they charge fees and memberships to be a part. So if we were to try to do that again, their recommendation is it's sent to the State Board of Accounts for them to review it prior to us having any grant. The grant comes from the commissioners. They are to set the grant, they're to set everything. If the council is to receive that grant, then we have to have a written financial plan from the grantee. We have to schedule financial meetings, and that includes all receipts, and council becomes accountable for any expenditures over or outside of the actual grant. The grant is good for only 1 year and it cannot be amended.
What about, aside from the NGOs? Can an MOU go more than 1 year?
No,
No.
it has to, it's exactly 1 year. It's exactly as it's written.
it's not even really a MOU anymore. It's gonna be like a grant application of what Pat is working on. I haven't seen it.
But the MOU would give council the ability to bypass basically the commissioners.
No, they have,
No,
they
have
have
to
to,
approve this.
they have to give, they have to be the ones to extend the grant to the council.
And right now, the commissioners voted on how the casino revenue is gonna be distributed. And they allotted so much to be into the grant revenue line. So,
So on that one, even though we had fixed it, we did have the special meeting for the period covered in the audit, 21, 22, and 23, we were hit for a second time. That one is, we're accountable for one of the 6 repeats.
But that still didn't make it into the final report. They basically
No,
said,
because they said,
we need to
okay.
fix it.
they said, we've already, okay, so you held a special meeting, you went over the IC codes with both governing bodies of the county. You understand what you've done wrong, but we're not going to, you still did it wrong, 21, 22, 23. You didn't issue one in 24, so you basically fixed it in 24. You understand what the rules are, but they still, under ours, under the councils, we did get, and I'll pass that out, I'll just give you. So this is what they gave the council. And they specifically went after 2 funds. They went after casino riverboat funding and revenue sharing funds. And again, with
thanks. I haven't seen this one.
so
I mean, I guess my first thought is the main thing, since not all the council members have seen this, any of it for that matter. And it's not a strict deadline, they're waiting on something from us. I think I'd like to let everybody have time to read all this. Maybe we can.
I mean, I
Our attorneys-
apologize,
I
but
think-
if you guys knew how my day was
No,
today,
that's-
after Matt and I spoke, I told him that there's no way that you could have read it today
Yeah.
and actually even had
I-
somewhat of
yeah,
a.
I agree.
understanding
I
of
think the best thing for us to do, in order to follow the rules, is everybody should know, have an idea of what's in that 84.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Everybody can read through it. Maybe we can contact our attorney and see from a legal standpoint, what do we need to, obviously, I think it should all be put on the website. What do they need from us, from the council? What do we need to do going forward?
And they gave us,
As far as, yeah, I was gonna say they
they
recommended.
clearly.
I mean,
outlined that.
because a lot of, I noticed in here, they said, on several of these items, adjustments were proposed, accepted by the county, and for each office. So I think, to me, that makes it sound like there's a fix ready to.
Right, and I mean, like, I'll just go for like the or the auditor's office, I'm sorry. The AFR was the biggest thing, and they have 21, 22, and 23. And like I told Matt, I submitted it last year, or in 23 rather. That was my first time, Yvette's first time, Carolyn Green's first,
Yeah.
we submit that to the state. And they will, hey, you need to fix this, you need to fix that, so. I'm thinking it's okay, but then they're selling him, it should have been brought before the council to get like a final approval of.
Okay.
So that's all new to everybody.
So, yeah,
So-
so in that report, our oversight, your oversight as the president, you have the power to put oversight in committees over the things that we were hit on. It's not only the elected official or department head, they have to respond to the examiner of the state. Ours, where we as a county, both commissioner and council are held accountable, is we did not have a formal meeting of the AFR. It was understated and overstated in 2021, 2022, and 2023. We did not have any meetings of the AFR to cover that. Reporting wise, we had reports that were 6 months late to the state, 90 days late to the state, 60 days late, where no department had reported they were late. We have oversight, and how do we manage that? The DGLF sends out to every elected official a report every month that has the dates when these reports are due. Their best method, their recommendation was you use that report at the end of the month to qualify if the elected official or the department head has achieved the goal of getting those reports to the state. And then the third and the biggest one was internal control. And on internal control, how we got away, well, I shouldn't say got away, don't mean to say got away. How we were not hit with that is on July 12th of 2023, the county submitted its own ordinance, which we've never had before, of internal control standards. And we listed every internal control, every IC code along with it. Their issue is you're not following it. So when you read through this, and I'll give you an example, and then we can go to what Lance is talking about giving everybody, but just to give everybody a flavor of this. Underneath the county treasurer on the summary report, the county treasurer's office did not have a documented system of internal controls in place over cash and investment. The county treasurer and the deputy treasurer both completed an independent monthly bank reconciliation for bank accounts of the county. However, there was no documented review of the other party's work to ensure reconciliations were performed and were accurate. That was one of the issues with them having to extend. We have no written procedures. We have nothing in place. And so as an oversight, we can't tell the treasurer when to do her training or to get the written, but we can do this. As an oversight to the county, to protect the county, we can ask if they've completed the training and wait for them to acknowledge. They have to tell us what their plan is. The biggest issue for us as a county this year is this is no longer by state code. We will no longer receive a triannual audit. It is now an annual audit. They will be back in August. If you look at the documents that they sent, all these issues will be brought up at the first audit in late July, early August. And there will be, I think, recorder's office and assessor's office are on the audit schedule. And there was one audit that they did not have time to complete that will be added in 2025. And that audit is on the public defenders receiving health insurance. So that one's going to be looked at in 2025. Well, that was a 2021 issue.
In August, only thing left to look at is 2024, right? I mean,
No,
Yeah,
you say that they will review what they found. here.
everything here, they're coming back on. There's a ton of internal controls is not just about the employees going over the video. There are internal controls, and as they pointed out here, every one in our ordinance, we list every IC code that you must follow. Every elected office has internal controls. Every one of them. Now, what happens if we are listed as material risk right now? The next time, if we have any of our 6 go to the next level, it is then a significant risk. And the state has the ability to hold our grants outright.
So the non-compliance to council was just from what they're calling the grants that were given from casino revenue.
Yep. That's the only one that we got. They would not, even though we had our special meeting, we assured them, had them go back and look at the recording, the meeting minute notes, the fact that our lawyer presented it to both the commissioners and the council, and that the lawyer had documented that he contacted the State Board of Accounts. They were good with that. The only thing that they weren't good with was, this is the second time that they told us, you're not doing it right.
Well, with respect to that, give us giving money to this letter from State Board of Accounts specifically says famous entities without contracts. It states the county council has been the governing body primarily responsible for authorizing financial assistance to various non-governmental entities. However, the county does not enter any contract, grant agreements, or memorandums of understanding. Contract, grant agreement, or memorandum of understanding is the starting point to establishing internal controls to provide assurance public funds paid to other entities are being used.
The county,
Correct me if I'm
the
wrong.
county made the following payments to non-governmental entities from its riverboat revenue sharing and the riverboat fund without a contract, grant agreement, or memorandum of understanding during the audit period. Now, that was council.
But if we
You'd
had,
have to talk to Jamie about what the SBOA said to commissioners about how to handle the funds, the grants coming over to council.
my only point is, we have that memorandum. Good, correct? I mean, according to this.
They have to create it, they being the commissioners. It's all on them.
I foresee this identity going to the commissioners, asking, with the new paperwork in place, a grant application or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah, I haven't,
Even they list possible names of it, right here. I mean, contract, grant agreement, so whatever you want to call it.
yeah.
The commissioners
That's
are
just what they
okay with
refer
it,
to.
and I see it coming to us for an appropriation.
If we accept, we have to accept it by vote.
Right.
Right.
For,
Then we have to have, I personally have to listen to them. Why, if the commissioners want to make a grant, let them do the grant, because then we hold the accountability for the quarterly financials, all the receipts, and we hold the responsibility if a grantor screws up and uses the money for something else. We have to figure out how to pay back the grant within the year.
So they have to provide to us, they're basically the budget for how they're planning to use the so-called.
Yep, everyone
grant.
to the penny.
And then who will audit
Right,
it though?
that's right.
We received the quarterly.
Yep.
I know, but will council be the one auditing it?
Yes, if we accept the grant, we are accountable. So if the commissioners want to pass the grant over to us, let's just tell them.
You guys aren't even gonna have any control over the casino revenue, how much is in that line, how much is,
Yeah, that's why.
we still have to.
that's
I'm not
why.
in total agreement with, we're not giving up the casino money all to the commissioners. We still appropriate funds. They may have made the list, but we still have to appropriate that. That's still public funds, so we still get our say. How
Well-
the money is set out.
That part I tell you, go to the commissioners.
Yeah, I mean, the last meeting of the commissioners, when they were going through the percentages, the county council was not getting any
I know,
percentage.
but
And I don't know how that's,
And I know they reached out to the,
we're not just, we weren't just appropriating our portion of the funds, we appropriate everything. So the money that goes to the town of Evie, town of Patriot, the townships, the council has to appropriate that money before it can be sent.
Even though they've already given the percentage,
The-
like, you know what I mean?
All they did was make a list. That money cannot leave without our okay. We are the fiscal body, it's the checks and balances. I mean, otherwise, they could take the money and spend it on whatever they want, and no one could say a thing, and
Right.
we have to appropriate, those are public funds. Once they come here to the courthouse, those are public funds, and we appropriate public funds. So even if we don't get any ourselves,
So when they're saying town meeting gets X amount, before I cut the checks, you guys are going to.
absolutely.
But then
And what we've done in the past is done that in one fell swoop. You know,
I don't know if they realize that.
well, that's, I mean,
The town of Eby then has to provide counsel. What they
No,
can
this is
do.
No,
something
no, that-
completely different.
now, these are all,
These are all.
governmental entities that are responsible for the deal. They have to have their budgets approved. So it's the ones that don't have state oversight, like
Like the white.
Dearborn Life would be a good one.
Right,
I mean, they're a standard, they don't charge membership fees, but you still have to have, if we give out that money, we still have to have a financial plan from them as to what they're gonna use it.
well, that's what I'm just saying, so say the YMCA, for instance, so then they're going to present the budget plan to us, and then we are going to audit.
So with
spend that money
them,
correctly.
because they charge a membership fee that is not shared by the entire community. You have to pay a membership fee to be a part of those. And the three that they looked at was the Legion, the
Right.
Veterans, and YMCA. Because they charge a fee, the community at large does not all attend that.
Right,
So Dearborn Life is based off of the entire community. There's no membership fee to be a part of Dearborn Life. So we have, if there's a grant to go to the YMCA or go to the Legion or go to the VFW, their recommendation is, you've already been hit with this once, twice. That recommendation for any non-government unit that charges fees needs to be reviewed by the State Board of Accounts to make sure we're in
Got
the rules. But again, after listening to them, I don't know why we can take on one.
well, what's the difference between the revenue sharing fund and the riverboat fund? Aren't they the same bucket?
The revenue,
I mean,
Because it's got the riverboat revenue sharing fund, and it's got the Legion and the YMCA listed in the Veterans Forest Wars. And then it's got the riverboat fund, the Children's Advocacy Center, and the YMCA.
it was broken down 2021
Okay,
as,
so one of the years, I got it.
okay, so on the topic of the audit, I think we should, give everybody time to read it. Obviously, we'll contact our attorney and see what we need to do at our next meeting as far as.
we don't have to respond to the state examiner. It's already listed. Gail's received her response to the state. They all know that the clerk is supposed to respond to the state examiner.
Okay,
Ours, as you can see, we don't have that statement in here that says we have to report. Their only comment to us at the summary meeting was, you have oversight and you need to follow your oversight
Yeah.
rules.
I don't think it'd be a bad thing, even if we don't have to technically respond to the state, it wouldn't be a bad idea to talk about what we need to do
Yeah.
going forward, just
Yeah,
as a
make sure.
council. I mean, things that we
I can email it when I get upstairs.
We have it, you said the AFR is due when? That was,
The AFRs do the 31st.
that should probably be a separate meeting.
31st of this month.
So, I mean, you won't have your next meeting until well,
Their recommendation is that you present that to us and we look it over before you send it into them.
I don't know how that could be, because I don't know how any auditor could have it ready to be sent,
In between meetings.
yeah.
Underneath the AFR, folks, this is just the AFR. The financial data entered into the AFR contain the following errors. Receipts and disbursements reported in 2021 AFR were overstated by 1.4 million. and 1 million respectively. Cash and investment balances reported in the AFR January 21st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021 were understated by 694,000 and 275,000 respectively. Receipts and disbursements reported in 2022 AFR were understated by 1.9 million and 1.8 million respectively. Cash and investment balances reported to the AFR for January 1st, 2022 and December 31st, 2022 were understated by 275,000 and 317,000 respectively. Receipts and disbursements reported in 2023 were understated by 2.6 million and 2.6 million respectively. Cash and investment balances reported in the AFR for January 1st, 2023 and December 31st, 2023 were understated by 1.3 and 1.2 respectively. The variances noted were primarily the results of funds being omitted from the AFR investment transaction, not being properly reported, or variances noted between the amounts reported to the county's records. The financial data entered into the AFR is used to generate financial statements and combining schedule of receipts, disbursements, and cash and investment balances presented as other information in the financial statement audit report. Audit adjustments were proposed and accepted by the county and made to the financial statements and combining schedules and receipts. Disbursements and cash and investment balances and the financial data within the AFR need to be improved. The grant schedules with the AFR included the following errors. Coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds expenditures were overstated by $1,043,000 in 2021, understated by $605,000 in 2022, and understated again by $384,000 in 2023. The highway planning and construction program expenditures were overstated by 1.1 million, 229,000, and 390,000 in 2021, 22, 23. Several additional grants had individually immaterial errors that resulted in misstatements of federal expenditures. The other errors.
Well, we'll let these guys read it. I mean, I understand.
This part is just the AFR.
I understand. There's a lot to it, that's all.
That's why I said it should be its own.
Yeah. I'll get with you after this and we'll talk about what they need from us on this portion of it. And if we need to meet and go over this before we send it, I'll email everybody and we'll figure it out.
Okay.
I wasn't able to go to that exit conference and without knowing for sure, I just hard to give direction on that. So, okay. I mean, yeah, let's just, like I said, we'll put this off to the February meeting. And I'll reach out to the attorney and see if he wants to give us some input. But I like to talk about the things that we should do as a council, just ourselves going forward.
And on that AFR, that's not the auditor just putting numbers in. That's getting the information from Harris, which is our financial, that's our vendor that we use, and it comes over.
Yeah.
So I know that some things that they explained to me, how they were submitted as far as the inventory, how we, instead of submitting what the value was, you should have submitted the original cost or vice versa. I can't remember. I have it up upstairs, but that wasn't just submitted and those were all, they were submitted prior to. So I want to make it clear that nobody's out there just putting numbers in.
Is that report related to the one that you guys send out monthly to us that shows, I guess, the reconciliation? The one that shows the treasurer's office and your office that balance, that's totally different.
That's totally different.
Okay.
It has some of those numbers are in there, but there's some things that I pull in from other.
Last thing on this.
I mean, it's
the most important part that I took out of that meeting was we have our internal controls. We have an ordinance for it. They pointed to this. We have to make sure that we are asking the department heads and elected officials, are they following their internal controls? As long as we're hearing from the elected officials and department heads, if we get them saying, yes, I've done the training, I have written procedures. That's as far as we go. It takes the risk off of us. It does not take the risk off the elected official if they find it in the audit, but it does the county.
And that could be recorded in your office, that you've heard from all of them.
Mhm. I know that they've
I
all
guess
been
it'd be
trained.
annually, right?
Yeah,
Other
they should
than
have training annually on the internal.
reports was the next biggest, I mean, they were pretty hard on us and how far, nobody, that we weren't reporting. And they cited this ordinance again, that you are to notify our board, the council, when anything is past due, and that wasn't done.
Yeah, there might be a deal with a sheet maybe that has
Yeah.
all the department heads, if they've
And
given you
the
the okay.
departments need to have their own within, I mean, just like what Matt had read about the treasurer, not only is that internal control, I mean, that's a dual control, signing off on everything to protect yourself,
I think we'll talk more about it next meeting and
yeah.
get some more details for sure. Okay, guess, see a couple of things before board reports. So last meeting, we approved the meeting schedule for 2025. I guess for the new council members, I guess maybe take a look at it, see if you guys are thinking that. If you make any changes, it's the second Wednesday of every month at 5. You guys I know you guys didn't vote on that, so I guess let me know if there's any issues there, and we can propose a different calendar or modify it if need be. Public comments, anything from,
I just had a question on when all that stuff came online, that read.
From the State Board of Accounts. Well, we're in the middle of changing, Brock isn't doing that no more, so I have to get that from the state to get that submitted to the county website.
You can't just take the attachments they gave us and put them on.
I have no access to the county website myself. Yeah,
What about Martin?
he might be able to. I talked to him today and he told me to get a hook Brad.
Well,
But-
undoubtedly before February.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Within I would say
we need to,
by the end.
we need to, yeah,
We need to have
yeah.
control over that if we can. Is there-
Can you reach out to Brack?
It's been handed, the commissioners voted and it's been handed over to the state. They're gonna do our county website.
It's fine,
Because-
we have a direct contact.
Brack is no longer going to do it for the county.
Okay.
But the state's gonna do it, for free. There's no fee, so that's what they decided to do for the state.
Will they have a point of contact for you so that you can send it to them to have put on there?
Marty may have someone.
Okay, I think that part needs to be straightened out, so at least two.
So Gail, like,
I talked to him a little bit about it earlier today, but
now that we've been, the board or the council's been formed, like, all of our point of contact information is supposed to be changed on there. It's supposed to show now that Lance is the president, Kim's the vice president, our point of contact information. We have to send that up to the state? Is that what you're
yes, I
saying?
do.
And we don't have county email shit.
Yeah. Tomorrow, Marty, that's why he was in my office today. We currently have Google and nobody likes Google, I guess, for the county emails. But anyway, they're supposed to give us 7 more, but the commissioners have to vote on it tomorrow. I have their personal emails, but they would like the county emails. Than the personal. It's going to be a lot more, it's more secure.
County
You know.
email?
Yes.
I don't.
You don't have one, I know.
Yeah,
Lance
you
is the only
can,
one
you
that
can
has
create
one.
one for me, so
So, yeah.
that's the more secure way to do it.
Right now I have 2 and I told Marty to get rid of my second one, so,
Marty said, yeah.
yeah. But hopefully I'll have those. But I don't have
You
them.
use county? You use the county?
No.
I'm
it's-
professional, I like to do something.
Yeah, it's easier. We have separate, my business though.
Right, sure, I understand. I mean,
Kind of nice to have. So.
Yeah.
Okay, board reports. Mike, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'm just gonna take just a couple minutes here to read over my last meeting.
EMA board, right?
Yes, yeah. Here, he applied for his 2024 salary reimbursement grant, should be finalized in late spring. So,
The mitigation.
is that what it was?
Mhm.
Okay, so that's, must have been approved for 18,000. He's still waiting on an engineering firm to, in reference to the multi-hazard mitigation plan to be finished.
Yes. That's part of it.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. He just said they were a little bit behind. Plans, but they're in the final stages. The radio tower out on San Run was blown down during Hurricane Helene. At the time, the tower was not being used. All the radio equipment that was at the site was not damaged. They were recovering equipment. Now it's at the office, and he's hoping to have this site for future VHF radio system. 2024 SHSP state grant that he applied for was awarded to Swisson County EMA in the amount of $149,686. The grant is going towards the new 800 radios in the county. And part of the grant is going towards the SCER radios, the Rick Miller purchasing 20 radios, ERA purchases his own radios that waiting on the next County Fire Chiefs Association meeting. To be stated in previous meetings that they were thinking about matching the grant, which is a good thing, or a portion to be awarded. So I'm going to approach them here in the next meeting that he goes to see if they'll contribute towards the radio project. He's got several different quotes, purchasing the grant to see if they can contribute anything towards this. Between the quotes, they can get up to 18 full radios, which will add to the 33 radios he's already getting under this project. 2025, he will be preparing the EMA action plan for voting sites in our county to enhance cybersecurity and location security issues at the voting poll areas. Still working on the debris management plan, having difficulty finding locations throughout the county. 2025, doing research into looking for grants for possibly upgrading our water rescue capabilities. His hope is to make our water rescue team countywide, instead of having countywide, except just having Jeff Craig Fire Department handling it on their own. This research will also include setting up state training and also training the U.S. Coast Guard. And then, almost done here, guys. He was notified early November from Mark Reed at the Swisson County Health Department in reference to equipment that needed to basically get rid of. It was just sitting around. So he ended up with a lot of things like safety fuel cans, unfold brand new cots, large shop lights with cases, generators that were still in the box, heavy wool blankets, heaters, more generators, 1,500 pound lift, just goes on and on. But that's going to help out the EMA in certain different departments within the county. Lastly, 2025, he's going to hope to work together on a project on our VHF radio system to upgrade and enhance its operational capability. He's done a lot of good things this year. So, and looking into that, last year and looking into this year. So. Getting the grant for the new. Yeah, that's really good. Getting dated.
Thanks, Mike. We haven't met again for cycling since the November meeting, and you kind of touched on that a
That,
little bit.
yeah, that wasn't a fact, that was just information coming up. The attorney, so.
Okay. The one thing I left off, the county medical center budget that was printed out, I think everybody's got a copy of it. So this was approved by the commissioners, or they provided
What
us.
they submitted, yeah.
Kind of filling in some blanks here. I think this probably sounds like the budget just never got filled out for 2025. So as you look at this sheet, you can see up at the top, last year's budget was 17,324, and they spent it all. But there's
Well,
nothing.
That's just the revenue, that's just what we took in.
Okay.
The revenue doesn't, we don't never budget for revenue. So
Right.
That just, I printed that off, so that's obsolete, really.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, so it'd be at the
See,
bottom, the
yeah.
32, that'd be their expenses. So down at the bottom, 32,113. So this year, they just wrote in the 4 on the right would be the expenses that they want to get approved. So it'd be the 2,000, the 12,5, 10,2, and 14,000, for a total of 38,700. So this money would come from their own fund. So this is Fund 4930.
Right.
So this is, they're asking for permission to spend their own money.
They just want an appropriation. They want it to be appropriated.
So now you see.
Yes, so this would be one of many funds that come through at the budget time in October, and this one just, I think it just fell through the cracks, perhaps. I mean, that's the way I see it. They're not asking-
I guess on theirs, I always thought they had to have it approved through their state, and then it came back to the county.
The nurse managed clinic, the actual clinic.
Yeah.
It is approved. They sent that in, but this is for the building itself. This has, it's just called the.
So this would be similar to the tech center fund.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the building itself that, yeah.
It doesn't have
Utilities,
anything to do
repairs.
with what's in there. So
So
this
did
is what
did
the,
they approve this using casino revenue funds?
no,
No, they
Yeah,
didn't.
this is, so the 15.
this has nothing to do with casino revenue.
Okay.
In 23, and that line item, they spent 17. In 2024, looks like they spent 9,800. But for 2025, they're asking for 14,000.
No,
No.
The 38 would be the total for all these.
yeah. But
It was 32.9. Yeah. And then you go back to 23, it was 43 and. So
Yeah, 33 and 22.
Which make a motion, they can spend their own money.
yeah, I mean, that's basically, it's basically, it, yeah.
I'll second.
All right, I got a motion by Scott and a second by Ken to approve the Fund 4930, the County Medical Center operating budget as presented. Any questions about it? All those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous.
And Warfield, Bennington, and the tech center, I'm gonna ask him about that tomorrow, because that's where casino revenue or.
Yeah.
Something's gonna have to be done, because they will not fund themselves.
Right. That should
I
take.
thought at the wrap-up meeting, they used the casino revenue to pay for those three.
I don't, not that I have, in my records, I don't have it in there. They
I
They
watched that.
voted to do that for the SCER, because they will just be a little short even after the new tax is coming in.
Right, I remember the SCU,
Because-
the other two never got mentioned. I know.
No, not that I, just because that was the Moorfield
Moorfield,
Bennington
Bennington.
and the tech center, they were trying to get into the general fund. Nothing never became, they never got put to the general fund, and they never got funded.
It'll be-
So, I mean,
If they okay that, then it'll be something for us to appropriate somewhere
Yeah.
in February.
I mean, and they discussed that at the last meeting about the council using the casino revenue to fund that for the next. What money, well, money is in the casino revenue under the council. They said that can help fund these two.
Which there isn't.
Well,
Casino revenue,
there's money there's a balance in the fund now, but they're saying they're not gonna put any more in.
I got it.
right.
That might be something good to send out.
I just, yeah, I have that on there.
Kind of show what the current balance is. Okay, that's all that I have. I'll I might make some changes to the agenda and, I'll work with Gail about, deadlines, having things ready, the Friday before from the people who want to be on the agenda so they could be sent out in time, and we'll make some changes. If you guys got some recommendations, email them to me. Let me know what you think.
See, I was told that it was, they had until 3:00 on the day of,
No, there's no way.
and to be at the meeting.
No. If there's an
I don't
emergency,
have I don't have a problem with that. That's
Yeah.
fine with me.
No,
but I was.
I think that takes pressure off of you. It's Friday at noon is reasonable. And by the end of the day, Friday, you send out the agenda. By the end of the day, Friday to all of us, so we have the weekend to look at it and Monday, Tuesday to call people. I think the agenda should be printed out and put back there when people come in. If somebody's got an emergency, by all means, come on in here. That's,
That's why I haven't,
yeah,
because I was.
that's the way I
told
think
that.
it needs to be done.
Okay.
And I think it makes it easier on everybody. I really do.
That's fine, like blindsided, we can actually.
People's trying to get to the meeting and there's still things showing up and you come here and honestly, there shouldn't be anything on this table when I get here that I don't know about. Or anybody,
I agree.
That's what I'd like to do. If you guys have other ideas, other things, let me know. Other than that, all,
I do. I have another,
okay.
and this is probably not a council thing. It's as watching online, I would like to see about getting some kind of better camera system and better the audio visual, so that people online can see what we're saying and hear what we're saying. Being at the school, I have seen our audio visual, and I talked to John Siglitz about possibly getting with Marty or whoever and getting that camera system in here. You can see faces, it's very clear. The audio is very clear as well. So, I think he said it was somewhere between $800 and $900 a camera, which is quite significant, but I think it's that important for to be where the public can hear it, because our audio video right now, if you turn your video or your audio off and it does the closed captioning, that's a fun thing all in itself, trying to figure out what it's saying on closed captioning, because it's.
Watching the commissioners meetings.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So, that was one of the things that I wanted to, I know it may not be a council thing, but I know it's definitely in, for the, part of the concern for the public, would they want to see what's happening? And I think that's a great thing that they want to be involved and see what's happening. And I think we need to make it easier for them to be involved and see what's happening.
Well, and that might just, is that wireless?
Yeah.
Why can would it help if we put it up here? The sound, would it make a difference?
Maybe.
We've tried a few things. I know we had microphones at one time and we've tried some different things, but yeah, I'm open to.
I mean, that's new as of last year, when we brought it in last year. I mean, I don't disagree with Carrie. I don't know how many times I've heard, we have to have people step up so they can see who's talking to council. You can't with that angle of that camera. You don't know who's talking. You just hear the voice.
Well, or even with, like on the Facebook Live, I know there's a lot of people that put questions and or comments or whatnot on there, and it is live. I mean, I'd like if we could even maybe respond to things, so things just don't go ape, out in the community with he said, she said, and or whatnot. I hate that whole part of the social media. I wish we could just respond to things, maybe not at this meeting, but at the next meeting, to help clear up a lot of the misunderstandings people have.
I do have my plans.
Okay.
There's a lot of conversation about this chicken farm. And I've seen, have had a couple people walk up to me and say, council needs to do something about the. We have nothing to do with the chicken farm. Council, it is a private sale. It has nothing to do with council. The only time we have anything to do with the sale of land is if the county has it as an asset, then we fall into play. So all the misnomers out there, we have nothing to do as council with this. I know that there's people asking if we're gonna have people recommend to the commissioners an ordinance. That's commissioners, that's not us.
My understanding, measurements are not, because it's not a change, it's like, it's a special.
I think it's a lot of people that are misinformed over how the sale went down.
Right. I didn't know about it until week before. It's all agricultural farmland, right?
Yeah.
They've applied for special use exemption to use it, so it still would be agriculturally zoned. It is now, it would be, with farm fruit, but there is a special use exemption. And it's my understanding that commissioners have no involvement unless the zoning itself. You know, if it went from ag to commercial business, then the commissioners would have involvement. It's my understanding, the commissioners, zoning.
Nope.
Certainly, if we do.
Well, with that said, in the spirit of Andrew Haskell, I will make a motion to adjourn.
That's what I was looking for.
And I will second that. All those in favor, you will be proud that you said that.
Yes,
Hello.
everybody's on board. Mike made it and that's it.
And Bill, when we submitted that stuff for you, for Scott, and I went to the state meeting.
Back to a strong reimbursement. Right.
You still haven't got that. Have you guys shared? I thought I
I got it.